But we have to remember that the process is ongoing, just like the creation of our life experience. The acorn has within it what will ultimately be the oak tree. And just as we are born, being created in the image and likeness of God, with all of those attributes that God gives to us to create the very best version of ourselves. Our purpose in life is to remember who we really are at our core. All of those attributes and spiritual gifts that come from being made in the image and likeness of God. Eric Butterworth, you knew I would not forget to mention Eric Butterworth, my favorite Unity author, once said that just as spring appears to show up suddenly each year, but under it all is a constant growth of nature, so are we perpetually growing and evolving. We are always prosperous and successful at the soul level. We are out picturing in our lives whatever substance our consciousness is ready to receive. When you live where the winters are cold and snowy, as I actually did for a few years myself, after a long cold winter, there's nothing better than that first day you realize, oh, it's spring. But granted, you probably have to be a native or a longtime Arizona resident to sometimes recognize spring in some parts of Arizona. But nevertheless, the air is fresher and brighter. The sounds are crisper and clearer, and nature itself seems to smile on us. And Butterworth said that rather than spring just showing up suddenly, as sometimes it seems to, there is actually an eternal evolving and revealing, a consistency of renewal. He suggests that the season of buds is actually autumn because as the leaf falls off the tree, the bud is right behind it with a new leaf safely embedded. So the tree never really stops budding. There's a sequence, a chronology to things. In life, we find the same thing. My father could remember and spoke of moving from Oklahoma Territory to Texas when he was 3 years old in 1906. And he traveled by covered wagon. In turn, I remember as a child meeting him at Sky Harbor Airport here in Phoenix with its one modern terminal, which later would become Terminal 1 of 4. He got off a plane with its propeller still turning and walked across the tarmac. No jet planes, no fancy gates or moving walkways. And as he walked, the blast of wind from the propellers blew his hat off his head and across the tarmac. I can still picture him chasing down that hat. So someday, today's younger generations will remember and chuckle at a time when there were no electric cars or GPS and big computer systems on board them. But all of those ideas were there the minute the first wheel was formed around 3500 BC for potter's wheels, about 300 years before anyone thought to use them on chariots, and centuries before they showed up on planes and electric cars. Just like that wheel, thousands of years ago, contained the visions of all the inventions to follow, you are already all that you can be right now. It's all within you. You can't become or grow into a child of God or a spiritual being because you have always been these, and you never have been anything else. It's all there at your core, just waiting to be remembered and let out. Just as when a new star appears on the Hollywood scene, they often give an accounting of how they have been acting for many years and working really hard in order to get to this place of recognition. There's really no such thing as an overnight success. It's all right there within you from the very beginning. You have to access it and claim it by following your divine guidance right to that place of fulfillment and achievement. And since you have all the gifts necessary to be and do whatever is yours to be and do, this includes all the prosperity, resources, time, energy, support, and money necessary to accomplish whatever is yours to do. The answer is already there within you. So take that first step in the direction of your dreams, and Spirit will send the guidance and the creative ideas, and yes, even the money to complete the task. So when we look at the growth of spring, we know it has all happened in a certain order. First the sowing, then the reaping. But within the apple pit has always been the tree, the blossoms, and the other pits, all in their order. And we know for certain they are all there within that tiny pit, just waiting for the door to open, so to speak. You are perfect, whole, and complete, just as you are, with everything within you that you need to do what is yours to do. Divine inheritance isn't something you have to attain, but rather it's an unfoldment of growth and wisdom, something to be remembered, awakened, and released. So as you realize it's spring, be open to the new growth in you. Take it all in. Let it remind you of the joys of your life, the newness of every day, a new beginning just waiting for you to create this perfect day for you. Spring urges us to grow. The new buds push up through the earth even while everything is still brown or sometimes even white with snow. They seem to say, look at this, you can do this too. It's all about rebirth and renewal. We want to move from death to life, from defeat to victory, from sickness to health, and from failure to success. It's human to look forward to the future. One of our most discouraging ideas, I think, in life is, I don't have anything to look forward to. Well, spring gives us that. The optimism rises and greets us with that first beautiful sunlit day. What we have to do is remember that springtime forever lives within us. We can access it anytime. So spring reminds us that we can't just sit around waiting for the next thing. We have to do something about it. Move toward it. Commit. Learn something new. Get to know someone new. Take a chance. Be creative. This means we have to be ready. There may be some things we need to do to be ready for all this growth. Any time is a great time for spiritual growth, but there is an urgency to growth, especially in the spring. The warmer weather inspires us to cast off what we no longer need, whether it's a sweater or an old habit. We may clean debris from the flower bed or our closet, or we may want to clean out our minds. To be ready for the new, we must let go of the old, release that which holds us back from our divinely appointed future. I know all about being stuck and challenged when it comes to being held back from my divinely appointed future. It's recently come to my attention that I have a bit of work to do before I move along to my next wonderful spiritual step. And it's all connected to my sense of independence and being able to take care of myself. As some of you know, I have been single for most of my adult life. I didn't set out to be that way. I was married briefly, but only 5 years in my early 20s. And after that, I reverted back to my earlier choice for independence. Encouraged by an abusive childhood and very little positive encouragement coming from outside myself. At the very young age of 14, I decided that I had to take hold of responsibility for making it on my own, and that I wasn't likely to have much moral support from home. So I proceeded to do so. And I have to say that strategy worked fairly well for me. I've been blessed and given many wonderful tools and much loving support throughout my life. But just recently, I came to realize that since I have chosen to live as full a life as possible for my entire life, And since I want to take my next best step to be of some service in the years I have left, I need to address this thing called independence. I've given up a lot of opportunities over the years for connection with others in my life. And I have come to believe that I'm not going to be ready to move to that next step of service until I get back in the flow of life connected with others. Because it's pretty much impossible to serve others if you have no connection with them. So I've shared before that my favorite Bible verse is Romans 12:2. The New Revised Standard Version says this: do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And the Message version, which I particularly like, says it this way. It's called there, place your life before God. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what God wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. I want to repeat that last sentence. I think it's so important for our times. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. Often releasing means forgiving ourselves first, then others, and also the circumstances themselves. All of this helps us move into our own personal eternal spring with ease and joy. So, is any one of you having a tough time or a challenge doing this, moving into the eternal spring in your life, into the new growth, and knowing that the next theme will be a good thing? What is it that's keeping you from it? Is it fear of not being able to be successful, or of what someone will think, or what someone has said? In her book, The Soul of Money, Lynn Twist says, we think we live in the world. We think we live in a set of circumstances, but we don't. We live in our conversation about the world and our conversation about the circumstances. In other words, we live in our stories. So what do we have to do to live in the world we want and need? Excuse me. Change the conversation. Change our stories, what we say and think and focus on in our lives. I'm going to ask you right now to close your eyes. Think of that thing you'd like to do, and for some reason you're just not getting it done or moving toward it. Think for a moment. What is it that you are thinking about it? What kind of thoughts? What is the talk you're having with yourself about it? What negative, limiting thoughts are coming into your mind? Ask yourself, why do I think that? Where have I heard that before? Where is it coming from? Who is saying that? There, right there at the root of those limiting ideas is the place where you can transform your mind. Because there is a part of you that is untouched by the judgment of others and even yourself. The spiritual essence of you is strong and good, wise, and powerful. So close your eyes again and think again of that thing that you wish to do or be. Know that you can do it. Make a commitment to take that first step. And as I said before, the resources will be there. Just keep going in the direction of your dreams, like a sailboat. A sailboat sets out for its destination. Its course is plotted, but it never goes directly to its target. Why? Well, the wind inevitably carries it off course. So the journey for the sailboat is a constant correction. And so is your life. How often do we take that straight line to a goal we've set, where every single thing we planned works out exactly as we planned it? Well, never is my answer. So it's just one step at a time, adjusting, correcting, changing our conversation and focus. So just take one step in the direction you want, and everything in the universe will come to support you. Finally, I want to say that you can know the spring of your life. You can fully participate in the growth that is ready for you. Just take that step into the beautiful spring air, clear and bright and colorful, and claim your personal eternal spring. Create the life you want by opening the door for all of your spiritual gifts to come out and grow to full bloom. Accept the blessings of the wonders of spring for every day of your life. As always, it's been an honor and a privilege to be with you today. Thank you.
As we prepare for meditation, we have our meditation song, again by Karen Drecker, One Heart at a Time.